What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So here to give a quick reaction video to Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button if you would. Look, I said that this fight was going to end in the fourth round by TKO ref stoppage. What ended up happening is the ref stopped it at the end of the third round for the doctor to look at the cut over Colby's eyelid that had been getting worse throughout the course of the fight, and then the doctor stopped it. Colby would have made it to the fourth round, and I do think that there's a possibility that he would have gotten finished in the fourth round. Or maybe not. To be fair, he did finally get Joaquin down and stay on top of him for a minute or two in the third round. So that shows that finally, even after that rigorous pace, Joaquin was starting to slow down just a little bit. And Colby's known to do that to guys. They can keep pace with Colby for a certain amount of time. And Colby can also take a beating as well, right? We saw that in the fight last night. I mean, he got hit to the body so many times. And Joaquin Buckley's a very powerful athlete, too. He got hit not just to the body, but to the face. He scooped down for the legs of Joaquin in that first round. And Joaquin stepped and threw an uppercut that I believe is his glove or his thumb or something scraped across the eye of Colby. And he was cut immediately. So in Colby's defense, he was kind of fighting not only Joaquin Buckley, but he was fighting against the clock that whole time, because the doctor had already looked at that cut and said, hey, you're going to have to protect that, because I can't just keep letting that go, because that cut on his eyelid was getting forever bigger and opening up more and more, right? Whether you think he is the most cringe guy in UFC or not, you have to give Colby credit. People need to consider Colby did take this fight on somewhat short notice. To come in there like that and to be able to take that sort of a beating and then still be there and have to have the doctor to tell you, no, can't do this anymore. You're going to lose your eyelid. You can't do this anymore. Colby is one tough dude. What it tells me as well is that there was absolutely something going on with him in the Leon Edwards fight, okay? You look at the Leon Edwards fight, and then you look at this fight last night between him and Joaquin Buckley, and you tell me that that's the same guy. Now, I know it's MMA math, styles make matches. I know Leon's a different guy than what Joaquin is, but just the level of intensity, the level and the pace in which the fight was fought, one of the things that Colby's always been good at is weaponizing pace and then pushing guys and causing guys to have to keep that same relative pace as him. Because if he's pushing that pace, you have to keep that same level of pace, whether it be in offense or defense, against him. Because if you don't, you're going to drown. And that's how he beats most guys. He puts on this really, really intense, rigorous pace, and then eventually guys just kind of wilt because they can't keep up with the same pace. And you hear the terms being drowned in the octagon. You hear that term thrown around all the time. That's what Colby used to do to guys. That's what he's so good at doing, is just dragging guys into deep water, and then eventually they just wilt and just drown and just sink under the water because they can't keep pace with him, right? And I think what last night showed is, at 36 years old, taking it on short notice, even with an L, I think Colby still got that. Now listen, he may have slowed down a notch or two. Obviously, Joaquin Buckley is the younger, stronger, faster athlete. He has better boxing, better kickboxing than Colby. In so many ways, Colby was just completely outgunned in this fight. But yet, he was still there. I know he was beat up. I mean, it looked like something straight out of a horror movie. And he took numerous blows to the body. He was never really dropped. There was the first punch in the first round that actually cut his eyelid. Colby was ducking to grab for the legs of Joaquin. Joaquin stepped to the side and threw an uppercut, and you could see on the replay that his thumb and his glove like skimmed against the eyelid of Colby Covington. That's what actually cut him. And then there was one part, I think, in the second round where for a second everyone thought that Colby got knocked down. But when you looked at that on replay, his leg got tangled up with Joaquin Buckley and he literally just kind of fell over his leg. So that wasn't a knockdown either. All of that abuse that he took, he never got knocked down. And then it was the doctor that had to stop it. Okay. Colby is one of the best at painting narratives, right? And he's got several things on his side here. And those things are he did take the fight on short notice, right? He did have a cut that was pestering him throughout the whole fight. He was constantly having to do this and then wipe it on his shorts, and not to mention that it was bleeding right into his eye, so it was affecting his vision. Imagine being in front of somebody like Joaquin Buckley, who is as dangerous as he is, and trying to be expected to not only dodge all of his punches and kicks, but then land punches and kicks of your own, all while you're constantly having to do this because you can't see. I mean, Colby is a tough dude, and it definitely showed me that he wasn't lying about the Leon fight. There was something definitely going on with him in the Leon fight because despite the loss, I think this is one of those that was a good loss for Colby because people have given him shit because he hasn't been in the octagon but a few times in the last several years. People are saying he doesn't have it anymore. He's a has-been. He's a guy who just sits on the side and chirps at people. He doesn't really have the ability to go in there and fight any of the top guys anymore. Well, he was outgunned last night by Joaquin Buckley for sure, but I think it did show that Colby Covington is still a force to be reckoned with in that welterweight division. And I think, anybody out of the top 7 or 8, they're going to have a hard time with Colby Covington. I think even at 36 years old, he could still be a strong gatekeeper for that welterweight division, right? Joaquin Buckley is one of the better guys in that division. And I think that we saw last night that, Colby still does have the ability to push that pace and to weaponize that cardio. You know what I mean? But, all credit to Joaquin Buckley. He hit him over and over to the body. I mean, I lost count of how many times he hit Colby Covington to the body. It was really an impressive performance by him. To be fair, I was impressed with Colby's ability to keep coming and to not just wilt under that. I mean, any lesser of a fighter would have just wilted up against the fence and just let the ref stop it. Not Colby, and you got to give him credit for that. I know he's the king of cringe. I know people get irritated by the things that he says, and he's, been carrying on this same shtick now as this, right wing Republican Donald Trump loving, Dana White loving simp boy showing up with a MAGA hat on at all the press conferences. I mean, he's created this shtick for himself that it's gotten to a point where people see right through it and they're like, oh, that's just that same old shtick that he's had now for the past 10 years, and that is true. But whether you like the shtick or not, whether you like Colby or not, you watch a fight like that last night, and you have to give him respect that he is a tough dude, can take a beating and keep coming forward. Doctor finally stopped it at the end of the third round. I think it was a good move. His eyelid looked pretty rough, and I think they kind of gave him a chance at the end of the second round. I think they looked at it in between the second and the third and were like, look, you're going to have to protect that. If you don't, we're going to end up having to stop it. We can't let it go much longer. And then to Joaquin's credit, he went out there, he kept touching him on it, kept hitting him. He was popping him with jabs, he was catching him with the two. I mean, continuous shots to the body, kicks to the body as well. To be fair, he did what he had to do to get Colby out of there. But with that said, I think that answers a lot of questions for a lot of people. Colby comes in there on somewhat short notice for this fight, and he still was able to push that kind of pace that he used to back in the day with Kamara Usman and when he beat Damian Maya and Tyron Woodley and stuff. You see reflections of that in his style. Now, had he slowed down a little bit, how much of that is him being 36 years old? How much of that is the fact that he didn't get a full training camp? How much of that is the fact that he hasn't fought but 3 or 4 times in the past 4 years? We we don't really know. We don't really know the answers to that. But he did look like the Colby Covington of old, just maybe a little slower. Outside of that, I think Colby Covington still gives quite a lot of guys in the welterweight division issues. I honestly believe that. I believe that. But I think that what I anticipated to happen and what most people anticipated to happen in this fight pretty much happened. He was outdone, he was outboxed, he was out kickboxed by a younger, faster, more dynamic athlete. You got to give Joaquin credit for that. He's a better boxer. He's a better kickboxer. He was throwing combinations and 2 or 3 punches. That's not Colby's style. Colby's never really done that. He's a 1, 2 punch at a time sort of guy. And then the head kick at the end. He's always been good at mixing in that aspect with his wrestling and with his jock sniffing game, right? But I said that if he wasn't able to get Joaquin down early and wear on him and tire him out and fill his muscles up with blood and get Joaquin slowing down significantly with the wrestling game, that he wasn't going to end up being able to overwhelm and overcome and beat Joaquin Buckley. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Joaquin was able to shuck him off, and he was able to put enough damage on him to where when you got to the end of the second and third round, Colby started getting a little weary. He's constantly just having to paw at that eye and wipe blood out of it and wipe it on his shorts. And he was getting hit while he was trying to do that, and he's still trying to see the punches coming. And it was a bad deal for Colby. But it's also one of those too where, despite having lost that, the fact that he kind of came in last minute and saved that fight a little bit, and with a good, exciting, action-packed main event, you know, I think it kind of reminded Dana White, the old Colby Covington fans that maybe kind of lost a little faith in him after seeing that Leon fight. I think maybe some of those people, including myself, I gained a little bit of respect back for Colby. Let's put it that way. Sometimes when you lose, you win, and I mean, obviously he didn't win, but metaphorically he did. I think because it showed everybody and reminded everyone of why they love Colby in the first place. I mean, he is a tough, go in there, push the pace, bring the fight every time, whether he's losing or winning. He's one of those guys that is in the fire constantly, right? And he was last night. He was in the fire. He wasn't stopping. There was never one point where you felt like he was about to give up. He never had this look on his face like, "Oh shit, this isn't going good. Let me just get up against the fence." So as soon as I mean, you can see people do that all the time. You can see fighters' affect in their faces change when things really start going bad. I mean, you can see it happen like a switch where their affect will change like, fuck. And they'll just get up against the fence. And then as soon as their opponent starts throwing, they just kind of wilt down to the mat, and then knowing that when they do that and they stop really protecting themselves or fighting back, the ref's going to come in, he's going to stop it, and then the fight's going to be over with, and they don't have to be abused anymore, right? You never see that with Colby Covington. He's never about to stop unless he gets made to stop, just like he did last night. Would the outcome have changed? No, I don't believe so. I think Joaquin Buckley had plenty enough left in the tank to, I mean, he was slowing down a little bit. Colby was slowing down a little bit. It was a very heavy pace, but I do think Joaquin had plenty left to where he could have, if he would have had to, he could have seen that through to the fifth round. And if Colby would have made it to a final bell, I do believe that Joaquin would have just won a unanimous decision, right? So I don't think it would have changed anything had the cut not have happened, had the doctor not have stopped it. But but hell, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to watch, and it did remind me why I enjoy watching Colby Covington. I was like, hell yeah. Despite the fact that he's getting his ass handed to him here, he's still in the fire. He's still throwing punches. He's still throwing kicks. He's still trying to get Buckley to the mat, and then even successfully at times getting him to the mat. So you have to give Colby credit for that, despite the fact that he got his ass beat. You have to give Joaquin credit as well. He showed that he's a better fighter than to wilt under the pressure of somebody like Colby Covington that just keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming, right? Joaquin looked good. He looked really good last night. So I was off by like 30 seconds, guys. I said it was going to be TKO ref stoppage in the fourth, and it was doctor stoppage like 30 seconds before the fourth. So I was close. I was close. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the fight. Let me know what you think about Colby. Where does this leave Colby in his career after a fight like last night? I'm curious to know what you guys think. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. All right, peace.